Connors, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinion. And today I'm looking at the unpopular opinion about the Shep in season 8. I know he only lasted one season as principal of Degrassi, but his season was just like, what the hell with this guy? So, anyway, in season 8, that was the season that we got, Ali, Claire, Connor, and Casey basically trying to get the core four of Degrassi from next gen, like Emma, Manny, JT, and Toby. But the fact of the matter is that there was a new administrator. In season 7, at the end, Miss Hasselakos decides to go to Regina to deal with her sick mother and wants to take Peter with her. Peter doesn't want to leave for Saskatchewan because he feels good going to school in Toronto. So basically, he doesn't want to go. He manages to get emancipated from his parents. He does live in an apartment above the dot, but I think that was his father's doing because his father didn't want to deal with Peter, even though Peter said he wouldn't be a nuisance. Kind of stupid, don't you think? But yeah, but now they need a new principal. And I feel like Snake probably would have been the next one. But no, it was the Shep. This guy from Lakehurst. So allegedly he was probably the principal of Lakehurst before it burned down, and then the Lakehurst people had to move in with Degrassi in season 7. So the fact of the matter is that the Shep became principal, and right from the get-go, it was clear what his priorities were. Basically, popularity above academics, like hot little numbers like Holly J over weird people like Claire, and basically, trying to make himself feel better. He sets up the school with a football team for the first time ever, and unfortunately for him, he has issues with Jane because, Jane gets in as the kicker and all that. Now, of course, the Shep does not really protect Jane from things. And it's kind of strange. It's like, wait a minute, Shep's the football coach? Isn't he principal? Isn't he supposed to be partial and all that? You don't see Radish or Hatzalakos being coach of anything, even Simpson and Pill. But no, why did he do that? So, of course, Jane does well. Like, he doesn't protect Jane from the bullying and all that from the football team. But when Jane does well, he basically cheers on for her, even though that it's clear that, he's trying to save face. But the worst part about Shep was in the episode Causing a Commotion, which saw Connor be diagnosed with having Asperger's and doing some very terrible actions. I'm not saying Connor should be forgiven the actions, but autism is autism. And lots of autistic people have these autistic tics. I do too. I have the hands to the face and the gnawing and sometimes having to hold a baseball in my hand. But of course, that stuff comes out mostly at home. I know that at work I have to keep things down a peg, down of things. So anyhow, so Shep becomes principal of the year. And I'm thinking, how is he principal of the year? Because A, aren't we like early in the school year? And B, why him? He just barely started. So that basically got me a little bit miffed. I'll talk about that later. But basically, the Shep was a tool in a sense. The gifted class was told to do a thing on him. And of course, the Shep gets rid of Connor because of his actions. Like, I understand what he did, but he did it the wrong way. Basically, Claire calls him out on it, and he calls her a stupid bitch. A lot of people said that was probably the start of foreshadowing how bad Claire was. And I'm like, no, the fucking writers did that. Anyway, so the Shep gets his Principal of the Year awards, and basically the gifted class leaves in the bit about him yelling at her and all that. So basically everyone walks out on him, especially Jane, with, not protecting her on the football team. The football team actually walks out on the Shep, which is funny because I thought the football team liked Shep. Shep tries to get everyone back together, but nope, he fails. The Shep is then given sensitivity training instead of being fired, even though that he should have been canned or something like that. But Simpson takes over for a little bit before Shep comes back, and he basically wants Jane back on the football team if she wants, and Shep is a little bit awkward. He does the alumni football game and all that. Shep seems to have calmed down, but he was not prominent. And between seasons 8 and 9, he got canned. I guess it was too. I guess the school board said, we can't have that. And coupled with the fact that Hatzilakos came back from Regina after Peter's meth addiction to help Peter and to run the school, I think the school board said that Hatzilakos was the better fit as principal. And I tend to agree. So Shep was gone. Now, a lot of people are thinking, how did the Shep get canned? Because of his behavior. There actually is a theory I have. Though I was reading up on Degrassi Goes Hollywood, and there someone made a post about the fact that Shep let Jay, Manny, Emma, and some underage people like Peter and Danny get a school bus and drive from Toronto to Los Angeles to save Manny's movie career. What type of person would let an irresponsible Jay do that and all that? It just doesn't make sense. Maybe that's why Shep got fired, because when the school board found out about this school bus situation, I think they canned him. I think they did. But anyway, yeah. So, and the guy's name's Micro D. Shepard. What the frick? But anyway, going back to the topic at hand, I'm talking about how was Shep named Principal of the Year so soon into his tenure. So I posted something 12 days ago, and this is for context being taped on May 18th. So it was May 6th when I made this post. It says, it just doesn't make sense that a few months into his tenure, he gets his award as he wasn't even principal at Lakehurst the full school year due to the fire. And I don't think he got to Degrassi until Hatzilakos left for Regina. My major theory is that they wanted to give it to Hatzilakos, but since she left for Regina, they decided to give it to the current principal, sorry, instead of just redoing the vote or giving it to her in Saskatchewan, or could it be something else? Tell me your thoughts. Have at it. Um, hmm. Well, one person started this thing about um, how he stole all the voters' vibrators and they wanted them back. So Shep said a vote for him for as principal of the year would be a return for their vibrators. It's just terrible. Well, that vibrator was because Claire found Spike's vibrator and wasn't sure what to do with it. She gets caught with it in class. Shep is basically a little bit annoyed and all that. And Claire's mom comes in. Well, Claire's mom, it wasn't her vibrator. It was Spike's vibrator. Why would Claire bring it to school? I don't know. That was shocking. And then Claire's mom said, if you have any questions, ask me. Someone said during the Shep's tenure, there was no child porn distribution, no flashing, no fires, school shootings, teacher pedophiles. On paper, he looks better than some others. Yeah, but the guy was only in for one season, or like half a school year, if you will. How the heck could have happened? It might have happened on his watch after season 8. Like season 9 might have happened on his watch. You never know. Only a couple people did comment on that. Tom Darkle said he was corrupt and had the support of the football team, cheerleaders, and a lot of the student body. It was most likely the exact same way as old school, which is probably why he transferred to Degrassi in the first place. A classic high school popularity contest, in other words, I guess. Yeah, it's probably a popularity contest, and maybe he got the school board to think that this guy is an innovator for putting a football team to Degrassi. I'm like, really? How and why? I mean, I feel that Hatzilakos deserved to be principal of the year. She did pretty good in her tenure. I mean, she had some mistreatment of some students, and she basically treated Peter better than he should have been treated. And the simple fact that, people blame her for expelling Spinner because of the zero tolerance policy. But Hatzilakos had no choice. I mean, I think the zero tolerance policy was basically Degrassi's punishment for the bullying they did on Rick, despite the fact that Rick shot somebody and then got killed by his own gun. So yeah, I feel like Hatzalakos should have been given Principal of the Year award. I think they probably did, and they didn't want to revote and give it to another principal, saying that Degrassi deserves it, and the Shep guy seems good. But of course, the school board probably were old-fashioned in a sense, or trying to move in the right direction. But unfortunately for them, they ran afoul, and the Shep basically was gone by season 9. The simple fact is that it just doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that Shep didn't deserve it, which he probably didn't, but the fact of the matter is the problem is season 8 was the first half of the school year. How would the Shep, just coming into the school a few months into his tenure, after Hatzalakos had to leave for Regina, did he get that award? Did they give it? If it was like Principal of the Month, maybe. I agree with that. But Principal of the Year, he wasn't even in as a principal the previous year. Well, he did for Lakehurst, and then the school burned down, and he never came to Degrassi. So either he went to the he probably maybe they gave it to him because he was Lakehurst principal, and then he was some other school's principal. He didn't go to Degrassi like the other people, but like maybe he did be a principal in another school, and maybe the school board was giving it to him for the recognition of Lakehurst and whatever. But Degrassi, not so much. It just boggles the mind how this guy deserves Principal of the Year. Don't get me wrong, he's not the worst principal. Yeah, he is actually the worst principal in Degrassi history of the 5 of them. But, you know, his egotistical ways cost dearly. Every principal had their ego problems. Pill had, I think, the biggest ego in my sense, other than Shep, because, Pill was egotistical in how she approached Degrassi and trying to fix Degrassi so that the school board would give her the principalship, if you will. But unfortunately for her, a couple of factors. Snake not being criminally responsible for Degrassi nudes, the fact that she was supposed to be temporary until the end of the year, and also pissing off Drew and basically pissing off Audra, who decided to tell her school board superiors about Pill's policies, and basically Pill saying that I have to make sure that everyone follows my rules or for the next year. What an egotistical prick. Raj had an ego because of the shooting and all that. I mean, I get it, I understand, but he was dead meat. Simpson may have had an ego problem, and Hatzalakos may have had an ego problem, but it wasn't as future. But that's a fact. The Shep didn't deserve Principal of the Year. Fight me on it.